I'm going to tell you something that might sting a little bit as a home inspection business owner. You're the problem. Here's the good news though. This is not unique to the home inspection industry. We see this in small business all over the place that the owner is the bottleneck at every level of business that you can achieve. So whether you're just starting out, you're a solopreneur, or you're hiring your first few people to your team over the years that you do that, or you're putting leadership teams in place for a growing and maturing company, the owner is the bottleneck at every single stage. And so in this video, I'm going to share 3 business stage traps that the owner gets into that creates this bottleneck, and just a little bit of what you can do to tackle those traps. The first one is what we call the operator trap. And most of you are probably familiar with this. It's when you get into business and you get trained to be a home inspector. For most of us, we become a home inspector and then we go out there, we get into the field. A very select few of us never do inspections, but grow an inspection business. So I'm talking to the majority of the industry right now. You get your training, you get your tools, you get out into the field and you start doing inspections. And before you know it, you're growing your company by saying things like, I'm the best home inspector in town. I provide the best reports. Me, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And this creates this trap of getting stuck in the service lane of your business. If you particularly want to grow a team, it's hard to get out of that trap because, hey, you said you're the best. Why would anybody want to work with anyone else? People you hire, as an example. But this trap is really, really common. Most of the people in our industry will get stuck here and never rise above it. You're doing the inspections, you're doing the growth work, you're doing everything, probably even doing it well. And because of that, you start to grow your capacity and you get stuck being the operator in your business. And so there's a way to get out of this, which is to, from the very start, think about building a business rather than a job. And there's all kinds of tactics that go into that. But one thing I would give you in this video is that if you go into it thinking I'm building this for somebody else, then you'll always have a little bit different mindset around what you're doing. I'm doing these inspections right now so that I can lay the groundwork for somebody else to come in and do it later. That means I'm going to get my systems and my processes in place. That means I'm going to be as efficient as possible, because if I hire somebody, I certainly don't want them to waste time or have a bad reputation or provide a low quality product. So while I refine all these things with the idea that I'll one day hand it off, I'm building something much bigger than just me as the operator. Okay, trap number 2 is what we call the chaos gap. Now, this is those people who get just buried under the weight of their own success. So you're an inspector, you're out there, you actually fill your own capacity, and we see this trap happen all the time. It looks just like this. Now that I've filled my capacity, I'm so busy, I'm pulling my hair out. I can't keep up with the phones, I can't keep up with reports, and all the different things that it takes to run a business in the background. Operations are starting to pile up. Now, what happens when we get really successful and really busy and we need to start cutting things out of our life so that we can make room for all of this busyness and this success? Unfortunately, what we cut out first are things like our health, our family, our relationships, and all the other things that were the reason we got into business in the first place. That's why we call this the chaos gap. And so if you're in this place and you're suddenly realizing that, oh my gosh, I'm making money, my capacity is full, and I'm suddenly not experiencing the rest of my life, there's a quick way you can get some help with this. First off, talk to other people who have gone through this and come out the other side, whether they have hired somebody and built a team, or perhaps they've just gotten really efficient as a solopreneur and that's where they want to stay in business, which is perfectly fine. Talk to people who have been there, done that. That's really important. But second, realize that even if you stay a solo inspector or you build a team, you've got to get certain things off of your plate. Stop answering your own phones. Stop doing your tasky, repetitive things. Get some help. Could be in the form of bringing on a VA. There's tons of great VA companies out there. It could be in the form of hiring somebody, or it could be simply doing less wasteful stuff, right? A lot of times when we take a look at our schedule, we're doing things that aren't all that meaningful because they're easy to do repeatedly. Here's an example. We check our emails all day long, or maybe we scroll social media all day long thinking we're doing it for work. But at the end of the day, we're just wasting time. There's a lot of little stuff like that that can help us get out of this chaos gap. But the biggest tip I have for you is get help. Don't do it yourself. Whether that's a VA or hiring somebody or just going to somebody else who has been there, done that in this business stage and seeing what they did well, that's your biggest lever. Okay, now we're at trap number 3, and this is where business building really begins. So we're at the leadership trap. This is critical. A lot of people get to the point where they've hired a few inspectors. By the way, side note, most people in our industry will hire 1 or 2 inspectors, then go back to solo, hire 1 or 2 inspectors, go back down to solo. And that's their entire career, oftentimes for 20 plus years, because they get stuck in the leadership trap. They're not really able to properly lead their company, lead their people, create a vision and a mission, have everybody oriented that direction, and then go. Instead, what they do is they hire people, and then they're just a team of technicians who are all stuck in the operator trap, trap number 1. But this is what we call the leadership trap. So you've hired a team and you've got things kind of going, people are doing work, but now you're realizing that there's a lot more to holding together a high-performing team than it seems. It's so attractive to think that we can just hire more technicians and do more business. And while there's some truth to that, if we want to have sustainability and stability in business, not only do we need to hire great technicians, but we've got to be a great leader. We've got to be able to create opportunity for these people and effectively do that over long periods of time, even with seasonality and even with all the things that come at us with our shifting markets and the economy. And so what do we do with the leadership trap? Well, first, it's kind of like trap number 2. The answer is to not do it alone. You've got to be getting outside of yourself, growing as a leader, whether it's in a coaching group like IEB or just reading books and learning and expanding your skills and vision as a leader. Super important. Get outside of yourself and continually grow so that you feel excited and ambitious as a leader and actually lead your people. The second is to work the traps backwards and say, I refuse to get stuck in the chaos trap. I refuse to get stuck in the operator trap, because the business will always pull you as a leader back into those roles. And the more you can get out of those roles, the more your people will be empowered to nail them for you. Okay, so there are stages to this. If you're a solopreneur and you're not necessarily looking to hire a team, you're still gonna probably hire and lead maybe a VA someday. And so you still need to think about the leadership trap. And if you're gonna just put together a small team, maybe it's 2 to 5 guys, you're going to be the leader. You're going to be in charge of your service, your operations, and your growth lanes in your business. You've got to get on top of and ahead of the leadership trap. Develop yourself, lead your people. And then if you continue to scale and go into what we call entrepreneur status in the industry, meaning you're putting leaders in place who are now leading your people in your service, operations, and growth lane, well, now it becomes even more important because you're a leader of leaders. And so 3 traps. It is the operator trap, the chaos trap, and the leadership trap. Of course, we could talk about these all day long because there are so many layers into them, but just wanted to give you 3 things to think about as you think about 2026 and the business model that you have and the things that you may experience. Get ahead of these things, put systems, processes in place, and most importantly, don't do it alone.